My Hero Academia. If you couldn't guess from the name alone, this is a story about superheroing, childhood drama, enriching character arcs, and more. Created by Kohei Horikoshi in 2014 and animated by Bone Studio in 2016, this series focuses on the growth of the main protagonist, Izuku Midoriya. From a quirkless extra to a superhero rivaling the #1 hero, All Might, there is much growth Midoriya must do to achieve his dream of becoming a superhero. But we all have to start somewhere. Volume 1 of My Hero Academia was produced in 2014 by Horikoshi and his team and released in Japan, later being released in America in 2015 by Viz Media after translation to English. The My Hero Academia anime was created by Studio Bones in 2016 and translated to English by Funimation in 2017. I am duly grateful to these teams for making the My Hero Academia universe accessible to as many people as possible. Throughout the series, I will be comparing the comics and the anime to study how each respective media handles scenes differently. Keep in mind that I own neither the comics or anime. The only thing I own is my own analysis, and even that is based on observation and may be flawed. All credit goes to Mr. Horikoshi and the animation studios who created that My Hero Academia universe. Again, I'm super grateful for all of their efforts to create an amazing show. I would suggest you take a watch or pick up one of the comics after watching this video so you can form your own opinions on this media. Now please enjoy my retelling and analysis of Volume 1, specifically correlating to Episode 1 of the anime in this segment. Before I get to my analysis of the characters, I suppose I should tell you the story first. Volume 1 begins by introducing two main characters, Bakugo Katsuki and Midoriya Izuku. These first few scenes are a flashback to their childhood, when both of them were around 4 years of age. Bakugo is seen bullying Midoriya, otherwise known by him as Deku, for not having a quirk and attempting to defend another student that Bakugo and his friends had been harassing. Meanwhile, an older Midoriya monologues in the background, stating that this was the moment he learned not everyone was born equal. However, he also decided that the previous moment with Bakugo was also his last setback. Time shifts forward a decade later to an older Midoriya, present-time Midoriya, going to see a fight against a villain. But before the fight can continue, quirks need to be explained. The first occurrence of a quirk was recorded in China, where a baby was born with luminescent skin. After this, quirks began to pop up all over the world until nearly 80% of the population had one. With crime rates skyrocketing and governments scrambling to reform laws, people with powerful quirks stepped up to protect other citizens. Eventually, these brave individuals were recognized by the government and became fully funded superheroes or earned money through contracts with hero agencies. Over time, this profession became more and more competitive, leading to hero rankings and competition over defeating villains as crime levels decreased. When Midoriya arrives at the scene of the villain attack, Death Arms and Backdraft are both working to protect and rescue citizens who may be near the fight. The conflicts seem to stem from a man stealing a purse, then being cornered and activating his quirk, which caused him to grow into a very large-looking creature. Kamui Woods is quick to show up on scene and begin to fight off the monster, which he seems to be succeeding at. Midoriya spends this time taking notes and gushing over the heroes with a bystander. Just as Kamui Woods is about to defeat the villain, Mount Lady bursts in to steal the win from him, the first occurrence of competition for public fame and villain takedowns shown in Volume 1. After the emergence of quirks, a superhero career has become a viable reality for those with powerful quirks and a dream for most children and teens. Midoriya's entire class aspires to become heroes, though Bakugo quickly refutes that idea. He confidently states that he's the only one who has what it takes to get into UA High School, the national school for aspiring heroes, and eventually become the #1 hero. At the mention of UA High, the teacher states that Midoriya is also going to apply to take the entrance exam and attempt to enroll in the school. This leads Bakugo to strike at Midoriya, knocking him out of his seat and onto the floor. The entire class surrounds him, mocking him for his dream, which they view as unrealistic and impossible due to him not having a quirk. A sludge-like villain appears in the downtown shopping districts and steals a woman's purse, but All Might makes an appearance to stop him. This situation will progress more later, but now we go back to the after-school scene at Bakugo and Deku's school. Bakugo confronts Midoriya after school, stealing his notebook and partially destroying it with his quirk before discarding it out the window of the school. He threatens Deku, telling him not to even try to apply to UA. He continues on to tell him that if he wants to be a hero so bad, he should consider suicide in hopes of being reborn with a quirk. Deku seems shocked by this, but Bakugo intimidates him too much to say anything back. When Deku leaves the school to retrieve his notebook, he comments on how foolish it was for Bakugo to say such a thing. The scene continues with Deku having another flashback to his childhood, in which he is watching his favorite video of All Might, his longtime favorite hero. This moment serves to introduce All Might as a fearless and powerful hero that can smile through anything, which Midoriya aspires to emulate once his quirk manifests. However, his hopes are unfortunately shot down when he visits the doctor's office. The doctor explaining that he will likely not get a quirk due to having 2 joints in his pinky toe, a sign that he is a lesser evolved human compared to the 80% with quirks. When Midoriya returns home, he rewatches the All Might clip and, with tears in his eyes, asks his mother if he can also be a hero like All Might, in which his mother embraces him and apologizes. Back in the present time, Midoriya thinks back on his decision to not care what anyone says and continue chasing his dream, which he is still determined to do. Promptly after, he is attacked by the sludge villain that had escaped from All Might's grasp earlier and has a near-death experience. All Might is thankfully able to save him and momentarily capture the villain. Deku attempts to talk to All Might to ask him if he can become a hero, but All Might is in a hurry and takes off. Instead of letting him go, Deku grabs onto his leg and forces him to land on a nearby rooftop. Deku finally has the opportunity to ask the question he has been wondering for years. Anyway, that's enough of all that. I'm assuming you didn't watch this video just to watch the episode. So let's get into a little analysis. As you may have noticed throughout this video, most scenes in the anime are pulled directly from the manga. There are some dialogue differences between the manga and the anime, but I do not believe they alter the overall message of the story at all. The only timeline discrepancy I noticed occurred at the end of episode 1, when Midoriya was clinging onto All Might's leg. In the manga, this does still occur, however, it switches to the villain's POV on the ground before All Might can land with Deku, where a certain someone ends up finding it. You'll have to wait for the next segment to find out who, but I can assure you, him finding the villain earlier doesn't change the overall story. Everything still occurs in the anime, just in a more linear sense, with the closing scene focused on Midoriya about to ask All Might if he can still be a hero. In short, they only altered it to provide a cleaner ending for episode 1. Now, speaking of Midoriya, in episode 1, in the corresponding comic panels, Midoriya is not portrayed to be some powerful hero. In his origin, he possesses the bravery and intelligence to become a hero, but he simply does not have the quirk to facilitate such a career. This situation is made worse for him due to the harassment by his childhood bully and the lack of belief from any of his support systems in him actually becoming a hero. Despite this, it is also clear that he has a lot of courage and belief in himself, despite no one ever encouraging him, and somehow Midoriya continues to push himself forwards towards his dreams. In this way, at least in my opinion, this creates a very interesting dynamic that isn't commonly seen in other superhero stories. Typically, a child is naturally gifted and basically destined for greatness, and despite going through hardships, typically has a leg up due to having some sort of power. Midoriya is arguably a normal civilian, with the only thing making him supernatural is his unrelenting belief in himself and his dedication to learning as much as he can about all heroes. Bakugo is a different story. Gifted with a powerful quirk at a young age, he has been set up for greatness. However, Bakugo doesn't exactly fit the mold of a hero either. With morals and goals that fit a villain more than a hero, he is basically the polar opposite of Midoriya's personality, and while he does have a lot of potential, he has a lot of growth to do. His mentality that anyone without a quirk, or even with a weak quirk, being extras or basically unimportant, makes me wonder how exactly that will translate to him protecting citizens who fit the same criteria. While his career literally demands he protect people, it seems that, at least outwardly, he is going into this career for the money and fame. This actually doesn't seem to be an uncommon idea with the current state of the pro-hero world. An inferiority complex masked by an overwhelming ego. In my opinion, the confrontation between Deku and Bakugo after class is the most telling about Bakugo's psyche and Midoriya's demeanor. Midoriya is not aggressive in the slightest at any point in episode 1, and clearly wants nothing to do with Bakugo, or at least does not want a confrontation with him. Bakugo feels the need to confront him about his intention to get into UA, and initiates the conflict by destroying and discarding Deku's notebook. Bakugo then threatens him not to get into UA, likely due to Bakugo wanting to hold the claim that he was the only student from his middle school to attend UA. Again, another selfish display of ego. He follows this up by telling Deku to
just pray that you'll be born with a quirk in your next life, and take a swan dive off the roof of the building.
Deku is visibly horrified, but Bakugo again silences him using threat and violence. Despite his several flaws, Bakugo has an undying sense of ambition that pushes him to strive for greatness, reaching for the same dream as Midoriya but in a more aggressive or, more accurately, explosive manner. This scene is a really great example of Bakugo and Midoriya's initial dynamic, a boy projecting his insecurities forcefully onto someone he perceives as some kind of threat, and the quiet persistence and courage from the underdog. In my opinion, I really enjoy the way Horikoshi framed the relationship between these two characters and foresee an exciting character arc for both of them. This is the end of episode 1 and where I will be ending part 1 of the analysis of volume 1. So, what I'm trying to say is that this segment is over because episode 1 of the anime is also over. So that's how I'm going to be doing the segments. The manga is more like, it's just too broad to do an entire volume at once. So that's how I'm going to be splitting it up. Thank you for your time in watching this video, and I hope you were able to form your own opinions from my analysis. If you have anything to add, I'd love to see suggestions in the comments. I'm always open to new ideas. If you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like and subscribing for more videos like this one. The next segment will focus on episode 2 of the anime and the corresponding manga panels that go along with it. Now, have some bloopers. Thugs? I mean, I can't call them thugs, they're 4. Bullies? Well, yeah, but like, thugs? I don't know. Time shifts forward a decade What is wrong? Okay. Time shifts forwards a decade later to an older Midoriya going to see a fight against a villain. But before the fight the flight? What is wrong with— oh my god. Rescue citizens who may be near the fight, which is a large monster-looking man. What the fuck is this script? What the hell did I write? This is terrible! After the emergence of quirks, a superhero fantasy has become a viable reality for those with powerful quirks and a dream. After the emergence of quirks, a superhero career has— what the— oh my god. A superhero career has become a viable reality for those with powerful At the mention of the UA High— the UA High— At the mention of UA High, the teacher mentioned— what the— that was shit. Like, why can't I just do it? Like, why can't— like, why is the word hero so hard for me to say? And superhero is even worse. Like, oh my god. In his origin, he possesses the bravery and intelligence to— in his origin, he I just love saying this sentence over and over again. Bakugo then threatens him not to get into UA. God damn it. Bakugo anything making him supernatural. Oh my god. Deku is visibly horrified. But again, Bakugo's— in my opinion, I really enjoy the way Horikoshi— I'm so sorry, that was terrible.